Hello, and welcome to episode 119 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And today we're jumping on the hot topic of the week, which is the arena economy, and then talking about some real economy stuff, and then just whatever else comes up.
Yeah, just going to have a conversation today. Nothing super in particular. We'll just see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah, so if you want to tweet at us your economy experiences, you can get at us at CasualTryPod on Twitter.
Or you can hit us up on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. As always, you can drop us an email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. We're going to talk a little bit about real economy stuff, especially having to do with TCG Player. So don't forget, if you're going to buy any singles from this set, whether it's Strixhaven proper or the Mystical Archives, make sure you use our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Anything you purchase after following that link, we'll get a small percentage of to help keep the show going. If you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Patrons get early access to show notes. They get to listen to our pre-show ramblings that lately haven't really had a whole lot to do with Magic, but they're us catching up, and we record it so that if you want to listen to us ramble, you can listen to us. So sign up for that.
Yeah, selling it hard.
Patreon. Yeah, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. You know what? Don't do it for the ramblings. Do it to help us out. Do it because you love us.
Yeah, there we go.
We have been putting a bunch more content on YouTube, trying to grow our YouTube channel. You've got drafts scheduled for at least the rest of this week and probably next week, right?
Yeah, I've got 21 drafts done. 8 of them are already posted. Mm-hmm. And I've got like 12 more to go through. So, cool. And I enjoy drafting this set, so I'll probably just be keep drafting it for as long as my gems and gold hold out.
Yeah, this limited environment's really cool. I think I'm probably gonna, well, if the supply is there, I'm gonna try and grab a couple draft boxes to throw on the shelf, because this would be a good one to draft once we're allowed to draft again.
Yeah. If those things exist.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But yeah, so we got drafts coming out on YouTube. I put up my box opening videos on YouTube, so go check those out. And I think I'm going to try a new video as well. Typically, when a new set releases, I make like one order, the weekend of actual release or the weekend after, whenever I feel the prices have kind of bottomed, where I just buy everything from that set that I could see myself wanting. And I think I'm going to start recording when I receive those orders. And I'll kind of walk through my thought process and kind of tell you what I paid and, you know, why I thought that might be a decent deal. Because I order on TCG Player, the packages like don't come all at once. So I'll probably wait till they all come in. So I'll probably do that video next week.
There you go.
Also, stay tuned for that.
Related to this, mm-hmm. They are just giving away Mystical Archives.
Yeah.
Like, there's a handful that are like $10 or above. I would say the vast majority are less than $1.
Yeah, super cheap.
Even the rare ones.
Yeah.
They're like Brainstorm's like $1. We just looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
The uncommon ones like are 10 cents.
Yeah.
So like if you were like, oh, I really like the art on Snakeskin Veil, it's 8 cents. Just buy it.
Yeah.
If you're buying
the
another
Agonizing
order,
Remorse, I think, is really like that one's really nice, and the Eliminate, I think, is good art too.
Yeah,
and like they're standard legal, so
yeah, and they're like,
why not spend a quarter to have like the pimp version of the card?
Yeah, so like if you're ordering some other cards and you're in the like, I need $2 more to get free shipping.
Yeah,
just throw some like of the Mystical Archives in there, and you'll be fine.
Yep. There's a handful of cards that I spec'd on too, where I bought like 20 or 30 copies of it. You know, when I do that video, I'll walk you guys through that process too, how I came about to the conclusion that I did.
Okay.
But I thought that might be kind of a neat video idea.
And then
so we'll try that out.
And then who did you run this video idea by?
We were talking about it on Discord.
Yeah.
I believe it was Dieter I was talking to. We were on Discord, kind of chatting back and forth. You had mentioned something about the Mystical Archives being cheap, and I had just remembered that I made a big order too, and thought that might be a neat video. So I posted it up there and got some feedback, and I think I'm going to go ahead with it. So if you wanted to give me feedback on what you think of that video, you can also hop into our Discord and join the conversation.
Yeah.
There should be a link in the description, and there's a link on all our social media. And if for some reason you have a hard time with the link, sometimes that happens, just shoot us a message on any of our other ways to get a hold of us, and we'll make sure you get a link to get invited.
Yeah, and the decks we talked about last week, I think they both got posted in the Discord. So if you wanted to play those, there's the deck list section, and you could just pull those down. And there's been a little bit of conversation about the Neoform deck. I've been going back and forth with someone, so you can see some of the thought process in the deck as well and ask questions, because it's basically the only deck I play in Historic.
Yeah, I've been trying to brew decks lately, and it hasn't been working well for me. So I'll do a draft and then have a sweet idea for a deck and then try and brew it, and that doesn't work out, so then I'll do another draft.
Yeah, there you go. Like you said, the draft format's good, so I have to go to the draft good. Is not the worst place to be.
Not at all. Yeah, the draft format's a lot of fun.
All right.
Probably my favorite from recent memory.
Yeah, I liked Keldheim initially, and then when it's evolved into a 2-deck format, I was less into it. This doesn't seem like it's there. It seems like you have a reasonable amount of play in all the color pairs.
Yeah, and there's different archetypes in the color pairs too, which is cool.
Yeah. All right, so like we said, the hot topic on Twitter and YouTube is the arena economy, which is, the thing that is always the hot topic.
Why don't we start out with some partially anecdotal, partially non-anecdotal evidence?
Okay.
I know I put $100 into Arena for Strixhaven this time.
Okay.
And out of that, no, it couldn't have been $100. It had to be $50.
Okay.
Out of that, I bought my Mastery Pass.
Okay.
And I had, some gems and gold saved from the previous Mastery Pass or whatever. So I didn't start with nothing. But out of that, I ended up with 63 prize packs. So however many drafts and sealeds that is, more. I think I only did 2 sealeds. I ended up with 63 prize packs.
Okay.
For basically, a Mastery Pass, and then just using the, couple drafts worth of gems that I had and the couple drafts worth of gold that I had, and whatever was left over from the Mastery Pass. That's significantly less than some of these other people are talking about. And I mean, I'm not super close to having the whole set, but I'm nowhere near complaining levels of having everything either.
Yeah.
I have reasonably everything that I would expect I would want to play.
Yeah, so I have done, we'll call it 20 drafts, because I've completed 20 drafts. Those 20 completed drafts cost me 6,500 gems.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, they netted me, not the greatest turnaround, but they netted me, I think I'm at 56 prize packs, plus from have you guys seen the Restorative Burst code? So there's Restorative Burst, and then there's Play Strixhaven.
Yep.
And a little birdie sent me a pre-release code.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that. I do have a few pre-release codes. I don't have many. I don't believe many kits were cracked in the store this time, so I think I only have 4 or 5. So if you would like one, hop into the free stuff room in Discord and let me know. First come, first serve.
Yeah,
there's not many there.
So I guess I have probably high 60s to low 70s in packs, and I'm still gonna keep drafting. So 6,500 gems. I buy gems $100 at a time, and then I just kind of limit myself to half of that per set release usually.
Yeah.
So I spend $50 basically like you did this time, but I limit. I just limit myself. And again, I have not really even contemplated playing Constructed with this format other than a little bit of Historic. I just like straight bought like Brainstorm, Faithless Looting, and Inquisitions were I think the
Yep.
only like mystical archives I bought.
Yeah.
And there's probably
I
like
got Stone Reigns too because I wanted to play Panza.
okay. And there's probably a few more that I would play, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same kind of boat. It's not like I have everything. Initially, when I started playing, I was like, well, I'll just play a whole bunch and make sure I get everything.
Mhm.
And I think for once they put in the duplicate protection, I
Mhm.
think that I got for like the next 4 sets or something, I got everything for
Yeah.
every set. And now like there are some holes in my collection, but like, if it's the big like 8-drop red mythic that doesn't accomplish anything, like I don't need
Right.
that
Who
card.
cares?
Like I
Yeah.
would much rather not open that card and get like the Planeswalker
Right.
for the set as opposed to getting the big like having everything.
Yep.
So like I usually get to a point where I can just fill in the last few things that I like fill out the play sets I want with my collection of wild cards.
Mhm.
And again, I'm apparently in a different situation than these people that play on Arena as their job. Like I
Right.
don't understand why they just never have any wild cards.
Well, especially the two people that we're going to talk about in the content creator section, they play like a lot of jank and different decks every time they play,
Yeah,
which can really burn through wild cards.
this is true, but still just like making progress towards like
Yeah.
the mastery and getting all that stuff, like it just seems like
Mhm.
they should be getting a little bit more in terms of like a reserve. But again,
Yeah.
neither one. We'll just say we're talking about Saffron Olive and Pleasant Kenobi, who have been
Yeah.
kind of. This seems like
Vocal.
yes, and it seems like it's a go-to video for them every single time
Yeah.
they like. There's a new set, but
Yep.
they've been. I spent this much money and like look how little I got, and it's like well, like you don't need all of these cards. Like you can kind of like at some point stop.
Yeah.
But maybe it is probably harder because they do play like, garbage. But at the
Right.
same time though, like I usually end up with like every rare in the set.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, how they get there to the point
Yeah.
they're at. I mean, one thing that does make this set different is, as was pointed out in the Saffron Olive video, I have the links. I'll throw them in the description if you want to go watch them.
They're also in our show notes that our patrons will have access to.
Yeah. They point out that this set has 21 mythics,
Yeah.
which is like the most mythics any set has ever had.
Mhm.
So you have more mythics, and then with the mystical archives, you then have even more
Even
rares
more.
and mythics.
Yeah.
So
Like, I mean, that argument's kind of neither here nor there, though. Like the mystical archive part. Like, I understand there's more mythics and, they're harder to get or whatever, and that's fine. But, like, the extra mythics are kind of cards you're not going to play anyway. Like,
Yeah.
you think Mascot Exhibition is going to be, like, a constructed staple anywhere?
yeah, like are you going to play your Mucha Brew About deck?
Yeah.
But like the
You
other
think it's
thing,
going to replace Karn and Tron?
could you imagine if your opponent went like power plant, tower, mine, I'll make a 4/4, a 3/2, and a 2/1 flyer? You'd be like, yes.
Oh, thank God! I thought it was going to be Karn.
I thought you're gonna play a real card. I'm so happy.
Where's that card going to see play? It's not like you have to collect that card.
But like I guess the other like side of that is if you went Liliana, right, to play some like Magecraft like Storm deck with Liliana, every time you get a Mascot Exhibition, that's you not getting a Liliana, right? Like so if you have 15 mythics,
Yeah.
right, each time you open a mythic, your chance of it being the mythic you want is higher than if you have
So-
21 mythics.
So you had just said that for some period of time, it wasn't uncommon for you to get every rare, correct?
Yes.
How often have you gotten every mythic?
I think like 2 or 3 sets.
So basically, you'd need to use mythic wild cards anyway,
Yeah.
because for the amount that you play, which is obviously more than a lot of people.
According to the email I get, more than 95% of people.
Yeah. Like you still need to use mythic wild cards. So
Yeah.
like the chances of you opening a specific mythic aren't good whether there's 15 or 21.
Yeah, this is true. Like I open all of my, like, basically I save all my packs, do all my drafts, and then I open everything and then go like, okay, well, I'm missing 2 Lilianas and I want to play that, so I'll spend 2 wild cards on Liliana. Or like that's basically how I do it. I just wait till the end. Now, granted, I don't have the, in air quotes, pressure, I guess, of like I need to turn out a standard video on Friday, the day after the set comes out. But at the same time, though, like I have enough wild cards that I could go into Arena and just like make the cards that I need to like play that first deck, and not just like have to dump $300 in and like cross my fingers and hope.
Yeah, so like that's basically what Saffron Olive was complaining about, is that he spent $300 on Strixhaven release and still doesn't have a quarter of the mythics or something like that, right?
Yeah, he worked it out that like based on the mystical archives that he had, that basically he spent, it was like $5 per every rare and $10 for every mythic. Based on like, I have 30 mythics and I spent $300, so I spent $10 a piece on them.
Yeah.
So
and he's complaining that he has to spend money to do his job.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about my toolbox?
This is fair. I'm sure it's a very nice toolbox.
My toolbox with no tools, like just tool storage, just a place to put my tools. If you were to go buy it right now, would be $21,000.
Oh man.
And that's with no tools in it.
Dear God.
So I'm sorry if I don't feel bad about Saffron Olive having to pay $300 when a set releases to do his job.
And he gets reimbursed for it.
Right. Like, so why are you even complaining about it? Like, he is probably the actual only person that's complaining about not having a full set of Strixhaven.
This is true.
A week after release.
Like I said in the notes, I don't think that the content creators are like the best messenger for this. Yeah. Because like you look at it as like, well, it's your job and like you get to write it off. But they do try to turn it around too, and this is what kind of made me a little more sympathetic to it. To the idea of, I thought of, let's think of Anthony, loyal listener, only person who watches my draft videos, Anthony. You guys can join him, but right now, right, if I got him turned on to that Neoform deck and he wanted to play that in Historic. Yeah. With like, he plays sometimes, right? He's like in and out, back and forth, like arena player. Yeah. There's no way that he could put that deck together.
Right. It would be I mean, we kind of called that like from the get-go of Historic, though. That you just weren't, like the way the economy is set up, you just weren't going to be able to do that. And like, I'm not, defending the economy. I certainly think there's room for improvement. I just don't know if it's in the best taste for somebody whose job it is to play Arena to be complaining about having to spend money on Arena.
Yeah, I think framing it better than the like, look how much money I spent, so the economy is broken. Right? Yeah. You could frame it, which Pleasant Kenobi tried to do, which is he was like, look at this Gruul deck. Cool, Gruul deck. It's 35 rare wild cards. Yeah. And 6 mythic wild cards. And so you just have to to get those wild cards, you just have to crack packs or like,
Right.
strategically open packs from the right set.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I guess I need to go open
Guild packs to get my pelt collector.
yeah, or I was gonna say like throne packs.
Yeah.
So like I could maybe get Questing Beast and
Lovestruck Beast.
Lovestruck Beast and Bone Crusher Giant and Embercleave. Right, so that's the set to open to like try to get those cards while you also like get your like wild card wheel progress or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so like if like Anthony wanted to play that Neoform deck, like that deck is just like random rares and mythics from random products. Like there's no way that like I could say, well, you need to open these packs because you have 4 cards that are in those sets.
Well, you can't even. Like, you can't still open Jumpstart.
Oh, you can't buy Jumpstart at all?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you just can't... Oh, yeah, no, that's right, because you couldn't just buy Jumpstart packs. You had to do
you had to join the event.
Yeah. So, right, like, okay, there's 4 wild cards you have to spend. And it's like, well... Augur of Bolus is an uncommon from War of the Spark. Brainstorm's a rare from the Mystical Archives. Seagate Stormcaller is a mythic from Zendikar.
Mm-hmm.
Neoforms from War of the Spark, right? I think.
No, Allegiance?
Allegiance, maybe? Okay. Yeah, so it's just like random cards from random sets. Like, you don't know what to open. So I can see where, like, Historic is too expensive to enter if you are someone who listened to this awesome podcast and then was like, oh, I want to play Historic.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
good luck.
Yeah. Like, as a way to onboard players into Magic, like, I think Arena, because of the economy, might be making that harder. Right?
Yeah.
You like show up and play your like free to play deck in Bronze.
Yeah.
You get out and then like you get Sultai ultimatumed and you're like, oh, I want to try to do that. And then you're like, oh, you like go and find the deck list and you have literally none of the cards.
Yeah.
And like, how long would it just take you to like grind like those prize packs?
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Like you just
I don't think you'd ever even get there.
Yeah. Like, that deck's rotating, but like if you're like, oh, I'm free to play and I want to put Luminarch Aspirant and what is it called? The Exile guy, Skyclave Apparition.
Yeah.
I want to put those cards in my mono white starter deck because they're way better than the 3 drops I have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are just 2 rares. You would need like 8 of them. Like, how long would it take you to like grind your way to get packs of Zendikar to be able to get those cards? Like, if you were like, I'm only going to play mono white and I want to get these cards before they rotate, maybe you could in a year.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But like, I think that's pretty daunting. So I think that's more of the, like, I think that should be more of the complaint is not even like, not everyone needs to be free to play, but the like, the free to like pay some model could be better because like you're not really able to onboard people if they show up and then like the game feels like it's behind a paywall. Right. I mean, that's the beauty of like the cell phone games. Right? The ones that like people keep playing are the ones that you feel like you're playing the game. Yeah. But maybe you just need like a little bit of a buff or like, oh man, if I spend like $1, I get another crack at this puzzle as opposed to having to wait 20 minutes. Okay, I'm Jones and I'll just spend $1. Right. But you feel like you're getting to play the game. You're just getting to play the game a little bit faster or a little bit better. Right. If like you don't feel like you're playing Magic because like you're like, I don't know, playing like the bad a Johnny's Pride Mate. Yeah. Right? Like, oh, I'm playing a 2-mana 1/1 that gets a counter every time I gain life. And then again, your opponent's like, well, I'll Brazen Borrower that, and then I'll Bone Crush that, and then I'll play my Goldspan Dragon. You're like, oh wow, like they're playing a totally different game than me.
Yeah.
And so I think you get discouraged, and then you're like, well, how can I play those cards? And you're like, oh, I don't think I can afford it.
Yeah.
So there's some happy medium that we can get to.
Like I said, I certainly wasn't trying to, make the point that the arena economy was good. Like there's definitely issues with it. And we just went over all of them, so I guess I don't really know what my point is. But
again, I think it's more like that. I agree with you that I don't think it's effective when two well-known content creators are like, "Look how much money I spent on Arena, and this is all I got for it." And then like Pleasant Kenobi got mad because people were like, "Just draft." He's like, I don't want to draft. I don't want to spend the time to draft. It's like, well, then you have to spend money. Like
right. You can't have it both ways.
Like that's like literally sadly, that's literally how the world works, right?
Right.
You either spend money to get stuff done, or you spend time to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, I can pay someone to paint my bedroom.
Or I can paint my bedroom.
I can paint my bedroom. One's going to cost me money, and one's going to cost me time. Which do I value more? And, fine. If, like, he values his time more, awesome. I'm here for it. But then don't complain that, like, I have to spend money. It's like, well, it's your job. And, like, they go on little rants, and they're always just like, well, I'm really lucky that I get to do this for my job. And it's like, yes. But, so stop complaining about what your job entails.
I say again, ask me about my toolbox.
Yeah. So that was kind of where, this is, again, the big thing. And like, it's a hobby that costs money. And I think that like cards should be cheaper on Arena. Like if it works out that you are spending $10 a mythic, like that's too much when like there's like, I think we looked beforehand. There might be 3 mythics that are over $10.
Yeah.
In the paper set.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want a mascot exhibition, like that's 70 cents.
If that.
Yeah, and then if it works out that you're spending $8 or $10 for that mythic, well then that's a bad deal.
So that kind of brings up the other point that we kind of skipped over, but we should probably get back to now.
Yes.
And that's the Mystical Archives.
Yeah. So...
Because, like, PK and Saffron Olive were both complaining about the Mystical Archives, too, and how, like, it's so hard to collect this set because of the Mystical Archives. Well, and again, I'm not saying that, implementation is perfect or the economy is good or whatever. I agree there are certain things that need, could use some help and some tweaking. But, like, the Mystical Archives, as far as buying a pack goes, are free.
They are.
Like they're just giving them to you extra. There's one in every pack, whether you open it normally or in draft.
Is there... And does it take an uncommon slot?
I don't know if it's an uncommon or a common slot.
Yeah, that I was watching like Saffron Olive open packs in his video, and like the Mystical Archive will be in the rare slot, and then your rare gets pushed over to where an uncommon is. And it's whichever, like if you open a Mystical Archive, it'll push your rare next to it. Just for like display purposes, and then it'll show the Mystical Archive. But what I mean is,
I don't actually know like what slot it takes up.
Yeah, like what, like is it pushing off an uncommon or is it pushing off a common? But
I'm not sure.
Regardless, right? So when he was doing this, the thing that got me was he opened like a lightning bolt in his store pack, and why are they making you open and collect cards you literally can't use.
So I was actually watching that video in the middle of my No Good, Very Bad Saturday.
Okay.
That if you're a patron, you heard all about in the pre-show. So I was only kind of paying half attention. But, like, if he had... Like, that might have just been duplicate protection. Like, if he had all of the rare mystical archives already, like, that's all that he can open still. The same way they do, like, your scry lands. Like, if you had already had them, you'll open them at the very end.
Yeah.
Instead of gems.
I mean, that could be, which I guess then they're just effectively the same as opening gems.
Yeah.
But if he didn't have all the rare ones, like, that to me just strikes me as like, why are you giving me this card I can't play? I mean, even just, like, showing you that card. Like, why? Right? I mean, when they banned Agent of Treachery and all those other cards that were still in packs, they just took them out of the pack. Like,
not if you didn't have them.
You still got them even if you... I thought they took them out so you couldn't open them anymore.
No, I'm pretty sure if you had the rest of the set and that's all you had left to open, that you would open them.
Okay, I thought they took them all the way out. But still, like, they should just take them out. For these, they're banned so you get the... Like, if it is the end, like, they give you the gems for them anyway when you open them.
Yeah.
So I guess it's, like, a wash. But, like, it just seemed weird to me, like, why are these cards... that I can't play in the packs, even if they're like the last cards you can open.
Yeah,
like you just shouldn't open them. Like when they say what's in the contents of the store packs, those 7 cards just shouldn't be there.
Right.
And I'll be able to report when I start opening if they do give you the ones before you are all full up, because I'm nowhere near all the rare mystical archives. But
yeah, I'm not either, and I have yet to open any of the banned ones.
Okay.
In a store pack, which is kind of why. And I knew that he had like most of everything already when he was cracking those packs. That's why I mentioned that. I don't know 100% if that's the case, but
yeah, I mean that could be it.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, like I've not opened any store packs, so and like I've taken a couple lightning bolts, and you get the 20 gems for them.
Yeah.
So okay, if it is duplicate protection, like that is better, but it just kind of was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like again, like I don't think Arena should be free, but I think there should be some way to, have more control over what you get. Kind of like the dusting system that other card games use and stuff.
Yeah, like eventually they're gonna have to do something like that, because like you said, like you're already most of the way to the point where, like, if anybody wanted to play historic and they've only, like, say they started playing in Throne of Eldraine, like realistically you can't play historic. You just won't play historic.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing all this stuff to bring people to Arena.
Yeah.
And I know that once you get them there, you want to separate them from their cache. But I don't know. Again, this is a math problem that you do in, like, junior high, right? That it's like, well, if we have, if the tickets to the show are $10 and we sell 100 tickets, how many tickets do we have to sell if they're $20?
Right.
And you're like, oh, I don't have to sell as many tickets. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, but, like, I think you'd much rather, instead of making everyone spend $200, right? If you make 1,000 people spend $200, or you can get 2,500 people to spend $1,000, right? You make more money with more people spending less, right? And I think it's easier to get people to, like, give up $30 or $100, right?
Oh yeah.
Than it is for people to have to give up, $500 and maybe get the cards they want for the deck that they want to play. Right? Like, they should be, like, encouraging people to, like, be on Arena more.
Yeah, I need to, like, get better at not blowing my gold in the cosmetics too.
I think I've bought one cosmetic, maybe ever.
Yeah, I tend to buy like all of the Jund ones.
Oh, okay. You're like, it's black or green or red, we're
Yeah.
in.
Like I don't spend actual money on them, but I'm effectively spending actual money on them
Yeah, because
like that comes out of what I would have free events for.
yeah, like I think I have 70,000 gold, so I have 7 drafts worth of gold.
Yeah.
So when I get up to my like limit of like, oh man, I don't want to spend any more gems, I start
Yeah.
spending gold, build my gems back up, and work my way back down.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm good now. So like I think like I'm guaranteed somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 more or 11 more drafts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We can live with this. But I was thinking that like historic is like kind of like it's arena legacy.
Yeah, but it might even be worse than legacy though.
Like in the fact that but people are just priced out of it. And like you feel like you should be able to play it.
Yeah.
But like you just can't.
Yeah.
So the reason I brought up dusting, I brought up that for a very specific reason. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna find the tweet, but to link in the show. But there was someone did an interview with like Aaron Forsyth,
Okay.
and a few other people for the upcomer.com. And he tweeted out, I think the interview was, you know, I'm going to write you some questions, you like type me your answers kind of deal.
Yeah, so it wasn't face to face.
Or like over Zoom or something. I'm not sure, but the way like the answers were structured, it felt like that was how it was. But
Okay.
I could be wrong. But the question that got asked that kind of relates to this is, what do you think about how the arena economy compares to competitors like Hearthstone or Runeterra? How do editions like remastered sets and anthologies factor into the rewards players receive for playing? And so, you know, first line, oh, these are very different games. You can't really compare the economies, blah, blah,
Sure.
blah. Right, yeah, it's like, no, like you open packs and get cards. They're kind of the same
Right.
thing.
And then you play a game with them.
And you play a game with them, right? So the thing that like so they go through the whole thing about like, you know, our goal for our economy is to provide all players access to cards and decks they will find compelling and to enable play across our wide variety of formats and modes, right? And then like we didn't want a system where a standard player feels compelled to consume cards they don't need for the current meta, only to find they wanted to use those cards for historic or a shake-up event later. So and I know this from Ryan Spain has talked about this. He's now on Twitch at Going Optimal, but he helped develop the arena economy when he worked at Arena, or when he worked at Wizards, and he didn't want to have a dusting system because he didn't want people like having to balance the like, well, I'm learning the game and learning what's good and what's bad, and oh, I shouldn't have dusted that card.
Yeah.
Right, with that extra level of complexity. So I think right now Wizards is trying to sell the we don't have dusting thing as, well, it lets you keep all of your cards. So if you need to play them in historic or, you know, whatever like bad card circus like event that we throw up, and you're like, oh man, I got rid of my 7 mana do nothing red enchantment. How can I play the do nothing red enchantment event?
Yeah.
Right? Right. So they're like, well, we don't want you to dust because what if you decide you want that card?
Yeah.
And it's like fair-ish, but like, I don't know, have some faith in your player base that they can like, you know, play an entire like format and just go like, oh, this card, I know it's only good in draft. There's no reason for me to keep this.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a not great argument anyway, though, because you can just like dust your cards and get back. Like, obviously, you're losing value, but you can just dust your cards and get that card again.
Yeah. Like, you can, like, you know, you go down in the number of cards you have, but, like, if you sold out so you could, like, play Sultai,
Yeah.
And then a few months later, you're like, oh man, I don't want to play Salt anymore. I want to play this other thing. Hopefully, you've cobbled together some more cards,
Yeah.
and you can like get into that deck. Like the idea of like we have to protect you from yourself
Yeah.
is a little kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
So like as of right now, like I don't think they, at least based on this answer, I don't think they view the
economy is a problem.
Yeah, I think they're just like, oh yeah, this is like working great. And I mean,
Right.
it is because it made them like all the money.
Yeah, all of the money. Record
All of the
profits
money.
when nobody's allowed to play Magic.
Yeah. So I think that is a very interesting point of view.
Yeah.
I don't see them fixing it anytime soon because I don't think they identify it as a problem.
I guess another problem, a compounding problem, is that the longer it goes without them fixing it, the harder it is to fix, though, right?
It is. I mean, it's the reserve list issue,
Yeah.
right? Where, the reserve list was fine when Badlands were $50. Like no one was really railing against how bad things were, and people were like, one day Badlands are gonna be $100. Watch out! And now Badlands are $300. Right? It's like,
I bet you they're more than that.
Yeah. It's like, oops. Well, that problem is now like thoroughly broken.
Yeah. Badlands are currently $592.
Oh my god. Okay. Right. So, like, now the problem is like broken to the point where there's not a reasonable fix. Right.
Yeah.
And if like a tier 1.5 historic deck to like keep you on the client is $600, like you're going to lose that person off the client. Right. And it's much better to be getting $5 from that person than $0 from that person.
Yeah. Like what I think makes it harder to implement the longer this goes on is look at a player like you or I that, is going to play Arena to hopefully in the future supplement their paper game.
Yeah.
But has been playing the whole time, right? Just as like a way to get games in, where you don't have to go down to the game store to practice. And like, say 2 years from now, they decide, okay, historic is just completely inaccessible for people. We're going to implement a dusting system. Like somebody like you or me that's been playing since, the game launched or before the game launched, how many cards do you have to dust? Like you don't ever need to buy anything on Arena again.
Yeah. I mean, it almost gets the like Magic Online issue where like if you were good enough on Magic Online, you just like went infinite.
Right.
And never put any money in. Now those people are few and far between.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it could be that like I would just never. Well, it depends, right? If you dust them into wild cards, right? Then I can't turn those wild cards into drafts.
Right. But you wouldn't. Like you could approach a set differently, though.
Yeah, you could just like use the wild cards to get the constructed cards that you wanted.
Right.
And then not have to interact with anything else. I mean, that's how I interacted with Jumpstart. Like, I played, like, 3 matches of Jumpstart. Was like, okay, I see how this works. And then I was like, all right, what do I want? I want Allosaurus Shepherd. Okay, fine. I want 2 Craterhoof Behemoths. I want this. I want that. And then I didn't, like, get anything else from the set.
Yeah.
I mean, I interacted with it kind of like how I interact with Paper Magic now.
Right.
Where like I don't buy boxes anymore. I'm just like, well, what are the like singles I want?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that because it's less work, and
you end up with less garbage.
Yeah, and I can get what I want, right? If 28 foil Mythical Archive Duresses ever become garbage, I don't want to live in that world. But yeah, I think that there is a problem where, it could get to the point where like the top 5% of players don't have to put much money into the program.
Well, I guess my point was it doesn't even have to be like the top 5%. Like I realize your stat card there says that
Yeah.
you've played more games or won more gems or whatever than 90% of people. But even if you're just like a casual player that's been playing on Arena since Ixalan, and then 2 years from now, so we're talking in the future,
Yeah.
another 5 sets a year, like 4 sets plus at least one supplemental product are going to make it to Arena, plus remastered sets or whatever. Like you're going to play through them. Like even if you don't play to the capacity that you or I play, you're going to play a little bit through them. You're going to have cards. How many of those cards have absolutely no use and you can just turn to dust?
I mean, I think I told this to Anthony once. Like, I think that like probably 80 to 90% of the cards that I have in my Arena collection have absolutely no use.
Right.
Like, there's absolutely nothing I would use them for.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, again, like, you gotta have a little faith in yourself and a Wizard's faith in you to be like, hey, you know what? This, like, 5 white 5/5 angel with Mentor, guess what? I can dust it because it's never gonna get played in a constructed format. And if it does, like you said, I can just go back and get it. Like, I can have the equity of the one rare wild card for turning like 4 of these into a rare.
Yeah. Like the card that popped into my mind was, and I can't remember the name of it now, the Crab Elf that lets you go get another one.
Oh,
it's like
my
a 2-drop
gosh,
2/2 that
Growth Chamber Guardian.
Yeah, Growth Chamber Guardian. Like that card was great in Standard and saw play and like was fun to play, but that card is nowhere near the power level of Historic.
No.
That card will never see play in Historic.
Not one time. Won't see play in Pioneer if they put it onto the client.
Right. It's that card is just gone now. Like, sure, you had it for Standard, and now it is absolutely useless. So it's just sitting there in my collection. Like, the card makes you play multiples of it. So even if something weird got printed, like you couldn't play it in Brawl or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not going to come out with some weird format that's like, you can only play crabs. So, like, what are you going to do with that card?
Nothing.
And how many other cards are there like that just random people have in their collections? Again, 2 years from now when they decide that, the Arena economy is not making the money anymore because people are sick of dealing with it and they're going to go to dusting. Like, how many people are out there that can just dust 3/4 of their collection and then never spend money on the client again?
Very true. And I think if you started dusting earlier, you'd get that churn where you dust like 4 rares to get 1, which is what the conversion rate was for Eternal, was 4 to 1. You dust 4 to get 1, and then the next set comes out, and you turn 16 rares into 4 rares into 1 rare for the next set. Yeah. Right? And you worked your way down. Yeah, no, it's a good point that like you could just have so many. I mean, another thing is, in 2 years, how many different Colossal Dreadmaws will you have?
Exactly.
Right? Like, you mean so I can just dust this entire page of Colossal Dreadmaw?
I mean, I already have more than a page of Duresses.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, Duress is another one. Like, I have a ton of them. Like, I could get down to 2. I could get down to the Archive and the Urza's art, and that's it. Yep. Awesome. I want to do that. Yep. But instead, it's like, no, you need 8 pages of these. And it's like, they do kind of paint themselves into a corner. But, I mean, even beyond that, like, you can't have people disengaging from the client. Mm-hmm. And they might not. Right now, they might not. Because what are your alternatives? Yeah. Right? Like, I feel like they're making decisions, like, in an environment that is the absolute best for their digital client. right? And if like what's going to happen when like the client is like faces not ideal circumstances? Because I mean, so it started. We had the arena hype / oh my god, this works, right?
Yeah.
And that lasted 6 months to like a year, maybe. Of like, this is so great, you can get in all these games, right? And then you started to see, so like that was like the what was that? That was the Ravnica block, basically, right? Was, oh, this is awesome, right? And then you got into like, okay, some of these games aren't fun, but it'll get better, hopefully, right? And then the world ended. Like we announced Historic and Pioneer, and then the world ended.
Right.
And so, like we might have lost a year in there, but I don't think so. Because we've been doing this for
close.
2 years. We've been doing this for 2 years, and we started in guilds. So
Right.
like there was that year, then the next year. So like there was 1 year that I glossed over, but you're like, and then it was like this whole year, all of 2020 basically has been the best conditions for Arena.
Right.
And, you know, maybe the warts and like chinks in the armor of like Arena as a money-making enterprise would have started to show sooner if we didn't just lock everyone inside and then said like, well, if you want to play Magic, I give you an abacus or an actual program from 2017. And everyone's like, well, the program from 2017, that's way better than the abacus. I guess I'm going to play that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, hang my cell phone from my ceiling and
stand on one foot.
Yeah, do all this other stuff.
Find every lamp in your house.
Yeah, to play paper Magic. It's like, no. Or, you know, oh, wait, all the webcams are sold on Amazon. I can't even do this. Crap. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, like, what happens when it's like, you can go outside and, like, people just, like, abandoning Arena.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what have you done for the last year? I played Arena. What do you want to do? Anything that's not in my house.
Yeah.
Name it. I just want to leave. And then they're going to be like, oh, God. And then maybe that will lead them to fix stuff. Like, oh, man, why are sales so bad? But they might just be like, oh, well, you know, people are like rushing to go outside, but they'll come back. And it's like,
they'll be back.
They don't have to.
Right.
Right. Like
they
you and I.
Paper cards.
But, or, you know, they can just not play Magic. Right.
That's
like,
true.
You and I will come back. The people that everything that Magic has done, and this also comes up in the interview and the questions, like everything Arena or Magic has done in the last 18 months isn't for you or I.
Right.
It's for the vast majority of casual players that buy like 4 packs each set and play this mythical anything goes kitchen table Magic.
Yeah.
That we all hear about. Like everything they're doing is for them.
Yeah.
And Commander players. But for them, right? We got to get them. We got to give them like a code or give them a taste of Arena, and then like the game will suck them in. And it's like, maybe. But maybe they're just playing until something better comes along.
Yeah.
Or maybe
they'll move on to some other game or whatever. Yeah,
or, you know, I think we've talked about this. I know I've brought this up before. The idea that, like, Patrick Sullivan said Magic competes with everything.
Yeah.
Because it's using your, like, disposable income in your free time.
Right.
And anything.
It competes with movies and restaurants and literally anything else.
People of the opposite or same sex. Like, you know, human beings. It competes with human beings, right?
Yeah.
And so what are you going to do if you're, like, people are like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go out to the mall and sit and maybe interact with another human being.
Yeah.
Or, like, I have $50 to do fun stuff each month. Mm-hmm. And my $50 was Arena.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be...
I'm allowed to go outside. It's going to be beer.
It's going to be beer, or it's going to be... or I give you $10 arena, and my other $40 is I'm going to go to like a movie with some friends and go out to dinner, and that's going to be how I spend my leisure money. Or like me, it's like baby is in bed at 7:30. I can realistically devote 2 or 3 hours to like alone time before we get into the realm of making poor sleep decisions. Right? And there for a while, like I went like 3 weeks without playing Arena because I was like, meh, I want to play PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Right? And like people are gonna go do other things. Like, oh, I want to go to the beach. I want to go on a bike ride.
Yep.
And
go play frisbee golf or
any number of things. As we're trying to think of more obscure things, like I want to go ride a unicycle. I want to ride a tandem unicycle. How does that work? Just tandem unicycle.
Tandem unicycle.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. Tandem unicycle.
Tandem unicycle. Right, but and this is the weird thing, right? Is it's always like the game should make money, so they continue to make the game, right? Mm-hmm. We want the game to do well, so we get more game,
right?
But there's got to be a line that it's not like the game can't like wring every nickel out of everyone indefinitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like listeners, you probably know this, but the game hasn't been peak game.
No.
For a bit.
Well, that was not the interview that you just pulled the question out of, but the other interview. Okay. Because they were 2 different interviews, right?
Were they?
You sent me 2 links.
Oh,
yeah, you sent me the questions were separate from the article.
Yeah, well, so what it was is those were the questions that he asked to then make the article.
Oh, I gotcha.
So,
well, there was a section in the article that talked specifically about that wasn't in the questions that you sent.
Okay.
Me.
Well, it might have been the part where they talked to Krim.
Oh, maybe.
So it was like he talked to Krim and
where
someone
they were talking
else.
About bannings.
Yeah, well, that's actually in the questions as well, where
okay.
I think Aaron Forsyth was like, yeah, we're getting better at it, but admitted that like they're basically now designing for Commander
and Arena,
as opposed to actual paper cards.
Right.
So this was about communicating the BNRs. Let me find the... Okay, so it was, what do you think has contributed to the increased number of bans in MTG since the launch of Arena? What do you think the rate of bans would look like if Arena didn't exist and people still played at the old rates with the old access to the game's most powerful cards? And so then the other reason contributing to the recent high numbers of bannings is where we've recalibrated who we're making card sets for. With most standard and limited play happening on Arena now, the primary audience for physical Magic cards is mostly Commander, non-rotating format, and at-home anything-goes players.
Yeah.
So, right, they're like having to learn how to make cards for this like other group of people. And I think I've pointed this out, like Golos was a Commander card that broke a format.
Yeah.
And like I think Omnath was probably supposed to be a 4-color Commander.
Right.
That broke a format.
Yeah.
And
broke multiple formats. So, but yeah, so it was adding the fact that we used the same card sets for both Arena, Standard, and Limited environment, as well as all that goes on in tabletop. You can imagine how hard of a tightrope it is to walk. There have been some growing pains, but we've learned from our mistakes. Our designers are getting better with each set they touch. I think sets like Kaldheim have shown we're getting better and better at making everyone happy. Sure. Yeah, I mean, Kaldheim was pretty good, and I think Strixhaven is good.
Well, I mean, I think we're in that, like, post, like, Mirrodin block era, where it was
everybody
like,
gets to breathe for a minute.
Yeah, well, but it's like, oh, these last 3 sets were turned up to 11.
Yeah.
And now it's like...
It's 7 time.
Yeah, it's like 6 or 7 time.
Yeah.
Which is, why, like, hardly, like, Faceless Haven, like the blue Foretell
Elrond's
cards.
Epiphany.
Elrond's Epiphany and Saw It Coming.
Yeah.
And are there really any other? I guess Doomscar a little, but were there any other cards that were like really making an impact in Standard from those sets? Like some kind of bit players.
Really. Yeah.
And as we talked about last week and has like come up a few times, it's like I don't think Strixhaven's making an impact in Standard, which I am fine with, because again, like you have to print like a better Throne of Eldraine, and like no one wants that, or some other like parasitic mechanic.
Yeah.
Right. Do you realize that we were like, yeah, food seems like a parasitic mechanic, and we just never realized that Adventures was the was the parasitic mechanic.
Yeah.
We were just like, oh, these cards are 2-for-1s. That's really good. And then it's like, oh, they're 2-for-1s that you really only play with themselves because they put 2 uncommons to make the limited environment work that were busted.
Oops.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, they're changing who they're designing cards for, and I feel like they're almost treating Arena like it's a different form of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, we're designing for Arena Standard and Limited. And it's like, whoa. You're designing for Standard and Limited. It's just being played on Arena. It's not a different thing.
Yeah.
It's
well, I mean, maybe it is. Like, that's kind of a whole nother bag of worms, or like 2 other bags of worms, I guess. Because on one hand, we have the whole topic that we haven't broached yet from like 4 episodes ago that was Scorp's Manifesto.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get into that right now, but we will talk about it at some point. But yeah, like just making them different.
Yeah. Where you treat Arena as a like you would treat Hearthstone and go like, oh, we should have put like 2 more blue pips on Agent of Treachery. Or Winota should have cost 1 more mana or something, so let's just fix that.
Yeah, so you just fix it and move on.
Yeah.
And then like the other bag of worms is like, what if that's what Magic is now? Like, we really don't know what Magic's going to look like once, you're allowed to play face to face again. What if like Standard is just an Arena format?
Yeah, where like no one wants to bother with it because on some level, it's solved and it's not fun. Again, everyone's sleeping on Pioneer, but this is where Pioneer has a chance to shine.
Yeah, I don't, like Pioneer never really got a fair shake. It had 1 or 2, I guess, 2 big events, and then the world ended.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of people running around saying that Pioneer's dead. I definitely don't think it's dead. Like, it just never got a fair shake. Wait until people are allowed to play it again. I think the format's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, that could be the format that like a lot of paper Magic takes on, because it's hopefully cheaper than Modern.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I got a bunch of thoughts about Modern too.
Yeah, but cheaper than Modern, but more diverse than Standard.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like you're not going to be like, oh, these are the like 3 best decks in Standard. There's nothing else to play because there's not enough cards to play anything else.
Right.
Pioneer will be bigger, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've spoken a lot about the digital card economy.
Mm-hmm.
And something I saw that happened in the real card economy that I thought we should touch on.
Definitely.
And so Channel Fireball.
Yeah, they're like restructuring, I guess. Like, what's the best way to say what they're doing? Rebranding?
They are changing their business model completely and totally.
There you go. That's the good way to say that.
So
you're better with words than I am.
I try. So I would say that Channel Fireball, in my mind, is like the second largest seller of physical Magic cards behind Star City. Now, you could tell me Card Kingdom could actually be second or whatever, but like they're in the top.
I think it depends how you rate like either TCG or Magic Card Market.
Okay. Like, I was thinking of, like, I don't know, like, TCG, I know it's, like, a physical place, but it doesn't feel like a physical place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, Channel Fireball, like, I felt like I could, like, you know, go to the Channel Fireball physical store.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know if I feel like that for TCG. But let's say it's in the top 5, like,
Yeah.
Magic card sellers in the US, right?
Yeah.
Right? Just someone synonymous with, like, they buy and sell cards.
Yeah.
They have decided they no longer want to buy and sell cards.
Yeah. I did not see this coming.
So they announced that they are going to sell cards one time more, and that is to Good Games, some miniatures place, and they're just going to sell all of their cards.
Yeah.
And then they're going to basically become an online marketplace. So,
yeah, the wording on this was really strange, though, because you can look at it and say, oh, they're going to become a TCG player where people go there to sell their merchandise.
Yeah.
But it also sounded like it wasn't going to be like TCG player.
I wasn't really sure like what they were going to be in the end, because they were going to do buy lists for the site, and like you would still send cards to them to process. Where like TCG doesn't, like, there's not like a TCG seller, right? I can't just buy cards from TCG. I buy cards from someone else, and then TCG fulfills the order.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if, like, that's kind of going to be the thing.
Yeah, I don't
or
know.
if it is just going to be, like, this weird, like, CFB is going to become, like, Amazon for cards.
Oh, that could be, too.
Where you just go and they just have a bunch of, like, you know, again, it's kind of the TCG model, but they just have multiple sellers for, like, you put in a Tundra, and, like, you know, 10 people come up that have a Tundra that they want to sell.
Yeah.
And they're just, like, getting, like, making it easier to find them. But I don't know, I feel like TCG already had that market kind of figured out.
Right.
So, like, it seems like a weird thing to, like, work your way into.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's really strange.
Where there's already
I read the article, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Where there's already this, like, big established player in the game.
Yeah.
So, the reason I want to bring this up is they were like, we're going to honor your store credit for some stuff, but it won't be for singles or something like that. And so I was like, this is a good time if you, like, have any Channel Fireball credit.
Yeah.
This is probably the time to get rid of it. So I had $47. I don't have no dollars. I bought a whole bunch of Mystical Archives from them.
Yeah.
And then bought my whole bunch from TCG Player. But I bought a whole bunch of Mystical Archives from them and was just like, cool, I am done with CFB store credit. I don't have to worry about getting stuck with it.
Yeah.
So it's the end of an era, right? I mean, because they've been selling Magic cards since they were, was it Superstars? Was the name of the...
I don't know.
That's the name of the sports card and sports card memorabilia store was Superstars, what they started as. And
yeah, I didn't know that.
Channel Fireball came from an idea of, like, Mashi and I think John Sasso and LSV, like, drinking beers in someone's garage. And, like, what if you could, like, watch Magic videos online? You know, like a channel for Magic. And that's where that's where the idea of Channel Fireball came from. And that's why their logo for years was a fireball going through an old TV that had rabbit ears.
I always wondered about that.
Yeah, because that was the idea, was it was TV for Magic.
Huh.
And then you have the show Magic TV for years and stuff like that. But that was the initial, like, conceit of, like, Channel Fireball when, like, LSV launched it and whatnot at the Pro Tour in, like, 2013. Right? Was they came up with this idea for, like, videos, and then, like, well, if people are coming here, we can start doing...
Yeah.
But they started out as, like, I think with Superstars was the name of the the shop. I've gone too deep in the Channel Fireball lore, but it's
I
kind
didn't
of
know any of that. I thought it was interesting.
yeah. But it's odd because right there's this like pillar really of the Magic community. The first place, one of the first places, if not the first place, to have like Magic video content,
Yeah.
like we know it, like to some degree, like we know it now,
Right.
was Channel Fireball, and they're kind of getting out of the like owning and selling of Magic cards.
Yeah.
Said with trepidation as he looks at a pile of Magic cards that he owns.
End of an era.
Yeah. So part of why I find this concerning, other than just like, the threat to store credit and like there may be one less place to like easily sell your cards to.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what Good Games is going to be like, though. They might be even better than CFB was.
They might be.
CFB's buy list wasn't great.
It
was
wasn't.
right, but
Right. But, right, if you're the reason that you run large organized play events is not to make money on the large organized play event.
Right, it's to sell stuff.
Yeah, it is to buy a Tundra for $700 from a guy at 10 a.m. and then at 10 p.m. to sell that same Tundra to a different person for $1,000.
Yeah.
Right? And you make that transaction enough times, you have a very profitable weekend.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe they're kind of seeing it as like there's not going to be a lot of organized play going forward. Not that play has been particularly organized.
Yeah. That's kind of the impression I got out of that article that we were just talking about as well.
Yeah.
Is that they're designing cards for the kitchen table player and for the commander player and for the arena player. And never once did they mention the competitive player.
Yeah. And I mean, think about, like, we've talked about this too, like, how, like, especially in this set, how hard would it be if you had one of the double-faced deans, right? How do you know what both sides of your card do?
In paper, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're playing a green-red deck, and you have the black dean, but you only ever play Lisette, the green dean on the back, so you're like, okay, I just flip this over every time.
Yeah.
Right? But how do you know? Like, aren't you just leaking all of the information?
When you're having to flip it over and read it?
Yeah. When you're just like, let me see what this does again.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, Delver of Secrets, it flipped over into a 3/2 flyer.
Right.
I think the only thing on Delver of Secrets was a 3/2, and it said flying.
Yeah.
And, like, Lisette is, like, whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah. Like, that's a lot more text.
Right. I mean, some of them have, like, activated abilities on the backside, too, which is just even more text.
Yeah, and, like, God forbid if you're, like, in a draft, and you're like,
yeah,
do I know what the back of this is? Is this the one that the back is a spell? Or is it another creature?
Yeah.
Right, like they're like the cards are very much designed for Arena.
Yep.
So what got us on this organized play thing is, I will again try to find the video link here. Oh, nice. Is the professor in Pleasant Kenobi dusted off Dice to Removal for the first time in like 3 months.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how, like, they're kind of afraid that organized play isn't going to come back.
I mean, we've kind of alluded to this a couple of times too, where we were pretty sure that it wasn't going to look anything like it did pre-pandemic, but that, chances are it's not going to look anything like it because it's not there.
Yeah. And they talked about, like, you could maybe do, like, regional tours like Star City did. Which, I mean, Star City kept pulling back the Star City tour and making it more and more and more regional.
I mean, luckily it's our region, so maybe we will have events to go to at some point.
Yeah. but like because they weren't making a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if if they'll be able to keep going, because like I was like, oh, this would be great. You could have like the Star City tour is kind of like East Coast, and like Channel Fireball could be West Coast, and then everyone who won one of the tournaments could play in like the CFB Star City, East Coast West Coast battle, and you're like, well, we could do like a North and a South, right? And you could always have like a 4-region like rumble at the end of the year, like that. Well, that would be cool, but well, CFB seems as though they're bowing out of that of that area.
Yeah,
and like what? It'll be weird if like organized play for Magic becomes Smash Brothers.
Oh, I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay,
I don't know what Smash Brothers organized play is, so
it has nothing to do with Nintendo. Like everything that is Smash Brothers is like community run, or a video game store or something. There's not like a Nintendo top down. We promote Smash Brothers organized play.
Gotcha.
A lot of it is like community run and things like that. So is it like Magic organized play going to be like things like Card Titan doing the Eternal Weekend? And like, oh, well, the one Legacy event this year is Eternal Weekend. So if you want to play Legacy, you've got to go to Eternal Weekend.
Yeah.
And, oh, well, Pastime Games is running, a 10K in Minneapolis or wherever Pastimes is, or Pastime in the Northwest. Anyway, they're running a 10K, and that is the big event for like this month. And it's like all like smaller, like regional things and stuff like that, as opposed to like Wizards being like, this is the Pro Tour.
Right.
Because, from what I gather, those who are of the Commander persuasion don't care about the Pro Tour.
Yeah, not at all.
And kitchen table anything goes players
don't care about the Pro Tour.
Don't care about the Pro Tour, and apparently that's who our audience is now. So, like, it doesn't
I wonder if events are going to look more like the SCG Con. Okay. Where the focus wasn't, I mean, like the Invitational was there, but the focus was also on like cosplay and Commander and like it being an event, not necessarily the tournament that was happening there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of in response to how Wizards was running their events. Yeah. Right? Because that was like what Magic Fest were supposed to become, right? Because like when we started, GPs were about going and trying to win the GP.
Right.
Right? And then Magic Fest.
So we were doing it wrong? I thought GPs were about going to an event and scrubbing out and playing sides.
Well, that's what we did.
Oh, gotcha.
But I went with a mistaken thought that I was gonna like try to day 2.
Yeah.
And then like ride the lightning. And you rode the lightning a few times.
I did, yeah.
Right. So I think that they were like, oh, this is where Magic is moving. And how much of like we're getting, do you know uncertainty, like Schrodinger's cat kind of deal?
Yeah.
Right. Where how much of Magic is moving towards Commander is because Wizards is saying Magic is moving towards Commander.
Right.
Versus Magic is moving towards Commander.
Effect. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The super microscope example for uncertainty is right. If you look at the electron, now you've impacted its momentum, so you can't know exactly where it is. Right. So we've looked at the magic landscape, and we've like zoomed in on Commander, and now we're pushing things more towards Commander because we're ignoring other things. Like, it's us as Wizards making the decision to like, oh, Magic Fest needs to be more about Commander. Like, is it like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or
Right.
Do you end up getting a higher percentage of commander players because players are like, oh, they're not doing stuff for me?
Yeah.
And like, how many commander players would be happier going back to the time when it was like, commander players don't exist.
Yeah.
And we're
It's
just
the
going
leftover format. They get all the scraps.
Yeah, you get all the scraps, and like you're kind of putting together like a scrappy little deck based on, cards that were designed for standard and limited, as opposed to like, I don't know, every set being a like Modern
Commander
Horizons for your format. Like, oh, you know what? Like, Golos was probably too good of a 5-color commander. Let's give him Cody. That can be fine, right? Sure, we'll give him Cody.
Sure.
Right? And so they just like, it seems like every set, they're just like, oh, okay, let's do this thing. And like, I have no problem with them like, you know what? This could be a 2/2 with Menace and Lifelink for white-black that is just like, Silver Quill guy. Right? But for Commander, we'll make it Bob, the Silver Quill guy. And it's like, okay, he's a legend now. Cool. Okay, that's fine. Like, that's what really changed the limited environment. It's a card that's not going to see standard play. So if it, like, gets a home in some, like, black-white Bob deck, okay, fine. Great. But, like, to then just be like, yeah, we're just designing cards for Commander. And, I don't know, we hope they don't wreck every other format.
Yeah.
Does not seem like the good place to be. I think that maybe going forward, we might be in a situation where instead of there being like every 3 months an event, like in our like magical like 6-hour driving window, we might be in a situation where like every 3 months there's an event.
Yeah.
Or like maybe once
twice a year we fly out.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, Eternal Weekends in Philly, I want to go do that.
Yeah.
And Eternal Weekends in October or September, I'm going to take off work or whatever, or redirect my class to the online environment, and I'm going to go to Philadelphia, right, for a 4-day weekend or whatever. Or, oh, there's an event here or there, as opposed to, oh, there's a schedule coming out. Let me see what 3 events I can go to.
Right.
Right? It's like, oh, there's a schedule coming out. There are 4 events this year.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
the
different.
GP schedule and the Star City schedule clash.
Yeah, oh man, there's one in Atlanta and one in Richmond. I guess I'll go to the GP.
Yeah.
Oh, but the GP's like standard, but it's modern in for Star City. Oh, I don't know. Right now it's gonna be like, oh, there's an event. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We should maybe go to that event.
Yeah. What format is it? Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, I just have to cobble together
Commander.
cards. It's Commander. it's CEDH.
Yeah.
Like, crap, I gotta get a Gaia's Cradle. Yeah. So, I think that the world is changing. And, again, like we keep saying, like, I like the game and I'm a little spiky is, like, those people are going away.
Yeah.
Or those people are being pushed out. I think they're being pushed out.
Yeah.
Right?
And like that was kind of, if you remember back a couple weeks, I kind of went on a rant.
Yes.
And had a little bit of mixed feedback about it. But that was kind of my point, is that like, I think that players like me are getting pushed out. Like there's not really a home anymore.
Yeah.
The spiky competitive players, and you're either not playing Magic anymore or you've transitioned into some other kind of player.
Yeah. What is it? Josh Under Layton's like jamming, like he top 32 or top 16 some Legends of Runeterra event last weekend.
Yep.
And he's in the Magic Hall of Fame and he's like, I'm done.
Had enough.
I would like to play Runeterra now.
Yep.
So we'll see. But I think the more people start coming around to like, oh, there might not be organized play when we come back.
Yeah.
Like, I think the scarier that is, because like everyone's reading the same tea leaves, and when they start seeing the same things in the tea leaves,
Right.
it's like, oh man, is it like actually happening?
That's how a Ouija board works.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Because everyone's pushing in the same direction.
That's right.
I'm not pushing it. No, you're pushing it.
Yeah.
Or a magic 8 ball, you just shake it and it just always comes up. Does not look good. And you're like, are we gonna have a GP this year?
Outlook unclear.
Yeah, outlook unclear. It's like, no. So
You're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. So with that, somewhat sad,
Yeah.
somewhat concerned podcast about I don't know.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. But all things like buying cards.
Yeah.
Basically. Buying and maybe getting to use your cards.
Yeah, I mean, when I had like kind of laid out the episode or whatever, I didn't want anything we said to come across as insincere. So I kind of just wanted to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And like when you just set out to have a conversation, like you don't really know, exactly what topics you're going to hit on or whatever. So
this was not like some scripted thing where we're like, oh man, we gotta hit all these points to take down Big Hasbro.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
no, these show notes were pretty sparse.
Yeah. We all know Mario listens. It's fine.
Yeah.
It'll get fixed.
It'll get back to him at some point. Mario.
Hey, Mario.
Help us out.
Yeah, please. We would like some organized play.
Yeah, we're spiky. Don't forget we exist.
Yeah. I mean, I think the spiky product, in air quotes, to some degree, is like the secret layers, which is kind of weird to say.
Yeah.
But like, oh man, I have this modern deck that I love. Oh, those shocklands are different and cool. I think I'm going to get those.
Yeah.
Right? It's like for the person that's like part collector, part like has decks that they want to look nice.
Right. Real quick, can I add something else in that I wanted to talk about and we kind of skipped over?
Sure.
Modern Horizons 2.
Oh God, yes.
So we were just talking about how like, formats may or may not be alive or dead or whatever, coming back around, organized play, all of the above. Everybody else realized the same thing. And modern prices are kind of in the toilet lately.
Okay.
I can't imagine they're going to be once Modern Horizons 2 starts getting spoiled in like 3 weeks? A month? 3 weeks?
Wow.
It's soon. Sooner than you think.
Okay.
So maybe if there was a modern deck you had an interest in, picking up singles for, you might want to get on that before focus is brought to the format.
Yeah.
There's a lot of staples that are real cheap right now. Like, I don't know, I think Noble Hierarchs are like $10 or $15.
Wow.
And
okay.
I remember buying mine for $60.
I got mine for $35 right after a reprint.
Yeah.
One more thing about buying cards in Modern Horizons and stuff. So MTG Goldfish now has a live updating EV calculator for Strixhaven.
Oh, cool.
So it live updates, and right now they say the EV on a Strixhaven pack was like, this was as of like, this might have been late last week. I was listening to, was like $450. And the EV on a collector booster was $54.
Holy moly.
And it was like, basically this is telling me that the the Mystical Archives are overpriced.
Yeah.
Because like that can't hold.
Yeah.
At all. So so they have fallen from like March 28th. It was like $500. I don't know where the EV calculator is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they are. Well, that's interesting. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mystical archives that are over $10.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the EV calculation basically is kind of indicating that they're probably too high right now.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason I was waiting a little bit. I guess I don't know where the...
Oh, there it is. I see it. So EV for a collector box is $311.
Okay.
EV for a collector pack is $26.
Okay, so it came down pretty substantially.
Yeah.
From where it was before. Okay. Which makes sense. Yep. But they were saying, where was that at?
So if you go to Goldfish and click on prices, and then go down to price lists.
Okay.
And then just scroll to the bottom of the Strixhaven section. It's at the bottom right there.
Okay.
It says bundle, EV retail, collector booster box, EV retail.
Okay.
$2.21 for Dragon's Approach.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So right now, like, you're up on a collector booster box, almost break even on a collector booster. Booster boxes, you're down. Booster packs are even. Set boosters, you're down.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
Man, I want to know where you can buy set booster packs for $4.
Yeah, really. Where's that at?
Yeah. And draft booster packs for $3.
Yeah. There's a place you can go and kind of see, if things are a little out of whack. Because it still seems like the collector booster prices are too high.
Yeah.
If you're making $90 or $80 just opening a collector booster box.
Right.
All right. So with all of this, I think we have a show.
Finally, I think we have a show.
So if you want to tweet at us about, again, how you've broke the arena economy or how you can fix it, you can get at us at CasualTryPod.
Yep. Or you can hit us up on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. Or you can drop us an email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. Don't forget, if you're looking to pick up any singles like the super cheap Strixhaven and Mystical Archives right now before the prices rebound, please use our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. If you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Do it because you love us. And, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Casual Try Hard MTG on YouTube. We got Brian's draft videos coming out all this week, all next week. I did my box openings already. You can check them out on there. I'm going to do my mailbag video coming up next week probably, so that'll be up on YouTube. Please help us out. Leave a comment, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. Help us grow the channel. Help us get some more ears on the show. And we have our Discord. If you want to talk to us, face-to-face, have a conversation. I guess not really face-to-face, but have a conversation. All manner of topics. We got a room in there for finance, a room for general talking, decks, all sorts of stuff. So come on over, join in the conversation. There's a link in the description, and there's a link all over our social.
All right. So with that, we'll catch you on the internets.
We'll catch you on the internets.